Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, where as always we learn through the misfortunes of others. I'm your host, Uncivil Law, a licensed attorney in Texas, Virginia, and before the United States Supreme Court, and we are here to talk about the latest and possibly last indictment against Donald Trump that just came down from Georgia relating to various offenses that might have occurred in that state relating to a call, principally to a call that Donald Trump made to the Secretary of State during the election, asking if they could find some additional votes. And we want to make a criminal thing about it. And already we're off to a complete shit show. So we're not going to get probably into this in all the depth that you love and expect, because it's 98 pages. And I don't know that I have the intellectual or mental capacity at this time to deal into this level of depth. So we might try to do like a quick hit tonight on some of this stuff, and maybe we'll do the rest on the morning roundup tomorrow, and that will just be the morning roundup. But I want to do something on this. So we will start, first of all, with where things were a couple hours ago. All right, so a couple hours ago, a docket report got released of what seemed to be, what seemed to be charges against Donald Trump. So this was what was released a couple hours ago. In the state of Georgia, and you'll note that it has a case number and a file date, which is today, and everything, right? And so this got released a couple hours ago. It says 12:39 p.m. I'm not sure if that's an accurate timestamp or not, but whatever, it doesn't matter right now. Anyway, so this got released a couple hours ago, where there were these charges against Donald Trump, and people were wondering like what this is, and these numbers as well, what these were, and that there was some problems with this, and they went so far as to actually say that this charging document was fictitious. It was fictitious. Okay, so there was that issue. So this thing released. They said it was inaccurate, and then they said that they went further to say that a fictitious document had been circulated online. But the fictitious document matches the document that just got released just now, and sort of the numbering and everything. So it's one hell of a fake. It's one hell of a fake, because it's almost, in order for someone to fake this, they would have to know exactly what charges were pending and exactly how they were numbered. Which, how would you know that? Like, how could you even fake it in principle? I don't know. But somehow, someone tried to fake it in principle, some way, somehow, whatever. So the whole thing is just really, really weird. All right. So now we have the actual indictment itself, which goes on for 98 pages in Donald Trump versus, or state of Georgia versus, a whole bunch of people. Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, Mark Meadows, Kenneth Chesebro, Jeffrey Clark, and then so it shows you like these counts, like 1, 5, 9, 11, or those are the same numbers earlier. Let me double check those numbers were the same numbers as earlier, because it's like with respect to which counts. So this indictment like lays out all the counts for everybody, and then not everyone's being charged with everything. So the fictitious report that was released earlier for Donald Trump said the charges were 1, 5, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 27, 28, 29, 38, and 39. Wow, it's the exact same numbers. It's the exact same numbers as the one today. Well, that's, someone really put together one hell of a fake, because they knew exactly what charges there would be, in what order, and exactly what numbers would apply to Donald Trump. That's a hell of a fake, man. Someone has the ability to fake that. Wow. This fictitious document that was accidentally released. It's a fake. Sure it is. And so they put him on the docket before the grand jury had even finished hearing things. They released the charges that he'd be charged with before the grand jury had even finished hearing things and had finished voting. So that was a nice trick. Anyways, slightly scattered brained. We'll get there. All right. So who else are we charging with this thing? Kenneth Cheesebro, Jeffrey Clark, Jenna Ellis, Ray Smith, Robert Chisley, Michael Roman, David Schaefer, Sean Tresh Still, Stephen Lee, Harrison Floyd, Treven Kuti, Sidney Powell, Catherine Laham, Scott Hall, Missy Hampton, aka Emily Misty Hayes. And we are charging them with various combinations of things, including my personal favorite, number one, violation of Georgia's RICO. Which, go big or go home on the whole thing. All right. Now, I will also take note that apparently there has been already a bit of a dispute over whether or not this person can give these things, because you will note at the top it says that this is Fulton County. This is the Fulton County Superior Court. This is the Fulton County Grand Jury. Okay? With the Fulton County DA that has done these things. And already I've noted in the commentary there is a dispute about whether or not Fulton County can even lay some of these charges, because some of these charges might be under the province of the state level authority. For example, the Attorney General's office. So it's not even clear. It's not even clear that this person necessarily has the authority to lay all these charges, or the degree to which this overlaps the state level authority. So if this turns into a pissing match between Fulton County and the state AG and any other authority, if this turns into some intra-state pissing match over who gets to actually charge this guy, that will be even funnier. So the only way that this can get any funnier than it already is if this turns into a pissing match over which DA is best DA, which could definitely be a thing. Are we going to spend the next year just trying to figure out who can indict them, because different people are going to be pissing over each other because they want to be the one with their name in the headlines? So we will take one hell of a punt. We will take one hell of a punt for the purposes of this evening and this evening alone. For this evening and this evening alone, we are going to assume the grand jury can, at least in theory, charge all these things, because I'm way too tired to figure out whether or not this belongs within the office of the AG or some other county where some of these effects occurred, or someone else. Okay? So we're just going to take a punt, you and I collectively. We're just going to take a punt, and we're going to assume that this is all okay to be brought by Fulton County and move on with our lives. All right? And if that's not true, we'll deal with it another day. But I'm way too tired to deal with it right now. All right, so we're charging them with violation of RICO, solicitation of violation of an oath. Okay. All right. Conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer. Okay. Conspiracy to commit forgery. Conspiracy to commit false statements. Conspiracy to commit filing false documents. What else we got? 1719. Conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree. Conspiracy to commit false statements in writings. 27 through 29 is filing false statements, solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, false statements in writings, and then what else did we apparently do? 38 and 39. Solicitation of violation of oath and false statement of writings. Is everyone being charged with RICO? Yes. Everyone is being charged with RICO. Wow. So yeah, we have just gone all the way, people. We have gone beyond the bend. The Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organization Act, which was originally invented by the feds to go after the mob, and then some states passed their own state level version as well. So we are out and out saying at this point, right? We're out and out saying that Donald Trump was working in a criminal enterprise with these people. He was working in a criminal enterprise. They got together for the purpose of engaging in criminal acts that show racketeering and related offenses. In other words, they're the mob, or they're the mob-like. So I that just makes me like, wow. I mean, you couldn't just leave it at conspiracy. You couldn't just leave it at conspiracy. You had to go all the way and go all the way to RICO. I mean, there's no love lost here, right? I just love, there's no love lost that we're going all the way to RICO. That we engaged in a criminal enterprise, a corrupt criminal organization, a corrupt business with officers and, employees, and we were engaging in racketeering and corrupt activities as a criminal enterprise. We were Mob Inc. I mean, wow. That is a lot for this time of day. That is a lot for 11 o'clock at night. RICO. Someone really put on their big boy pants. That's all I'm saying. All right, so let's assume the Fulton County DA can charge all these things. I look forward to figuring out whether that's true tomorrow. But we'll just assume it for now. All right. Oh, we didn't charge him with perjury? Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. And then there's a space for, like, if they want to plead guilty, I guess. You can just do it, like, on a Post-it note. You can plead guilty, I guess. All right. That's different. All right. So there's spaces. How many spaces are there? All right. And then we have a list of all the grand jurors. There are 26 jurors who were sworn in, and 3 names are crossed out. So presumably that means 23 jurors actually voted on this, which, fine. And if it's like most states, you only need 12. You need 12 out of the 23. So, yeah, not that I'm sure that you couldn't have a trouble, but I'm just saying, Georgia used RICO to charge a bunch of teachers and principals for test cheating. Okay. Georgia's very loose with the RICO, I guess. All right, so we'll try to read some of this. We'll try to read through the RICO stuff and see if I can figure out what that is, and maybe we'll call it a night. Because there's way too much stuff here. First time enough. So we accuse all these people with violations of Georgia's RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act, for said accused individually as persons concerned in commission of a crime, and together with unindicted co-conspirators. So there's other people that we haven't yet indicted, but maybe later. So this isn't all the people, but fine. In the state of Georgia and County Fulton, on and between the 4th day of November 2020. Is that election day in 2020? Do I have to look up what day election day was in 2020? Oh my God, it's way too late for this. Hold on. Yes. The 2020 election was November the 3rd, so it's the day after the election. So it's the day immediately after the election. That's great. So literally starting from the day after the election, we started our conspiracy. And all the way through the 15th day of September 2022. Okay. While associated in an enterprise, unlawfully conspired and endeavored to conduct and participate in, directly and indirectly, such enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity in violation of law, as described below, and incorporated by reference, if fully set herein, contrary to the laws of the state, the good order, peace, and dignity thereof. Uh-huh. Okay. Introduction. Defendant Donald John Trump lost the United States presidential election held on November 3rd, 2020. One of the states he lost was Georgia. Trump and the other defendants charged in this indictment refused to accept that Trump lost, and they knowingly and willfully joined a conspiracy to unlawfully change the outcome of the election in favor of Trump. That conspiracy contained a common plan and purpose to commit two or more acts of racketeering activity in Fulton County, Georgia, elsewhere in the state of Georgia, and in other states. Do two of the acts have to be in Fulton County on a technical matter? I don't know. At times relevant to this count of the indictment, the defendants, as well as others not named as defendants, unlawfully conspired and endeavored to conduct and participate in a criminal enterprise in Fulton County, Georgia, and elsewhere. Okay. Defendants Donald Trump and a whole bunch of other people, unindicted co-conspirators, individuals 1 through 30. I wonder if those are actually like 30 people, or they just threw in a random number. And others known and unknown to the grand jury constitute a criminal organization whose members and associates engaged in various related criminal activities, including, but not limited to, false statements and writings, impersonating a public officer, forgery, filing false documents, influencing witnesses, computer theft, computer trespass, computer invasion of privacy, conspiracy to defraud the state, acts involving theft, and perjury. Wow. This criminal organization constitutes an enterprise as that term is defined in law. That is a group of organizations associated in fact, which, fine. Right? So yeah, that makes sense. Like this is a organization assumed in fact. Fine. Defendants and other members and associates of the enterprise had connections and relationships with one another and with the enterprise. The enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members and associates functioned as a continuing unit for the purposes of achieving objectives of the enterprise. The enterprise operated in Fulton County, Georgia, elsewhere in the state of Georgia, which makes me wonder why Fulton County in particular gets to make this indictment. Like, can every county in Georgia bring this exact same indictment? And if not, why not? Okay. In other states, including but not limited to Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and in the District of Columbia, the enterprise operated for a period of time sufficient to permit its members and associates to pursue its objectives. Okay. This is the manner and methods used by defendant and other members and associates of the enterprise to further the goals of the enterprise and to achieve its purpose included, but were not limited to the following. Okay. All right. It is way too late for this. Like, in sort of like trying to figure this out. And I don't know the degree to which they're going to get into this, but one of the things that sort of crosses my mind initially is where the actions are occurring and how do you show that they're occurring in Fulton County? Because presumably at least one of them has to occur in Fulton County, right? In order for you to bring the action in the place of Fulton County. And as noted, also there's a dispute. I've already noted that the state house itself might, for legal purposes, not necessarily be located in any county. There's this idea that the state house is not located in any county, for the purposes of like criminal things, because it would be under state level auspices as opposed to a county level auspices, which makes sense, right? It's like, yes, it's the seat of the state government, but it's not within this county because the county doesn't have authority over it, right? It's state level apparatus. So even if it occurred in the state house, it may not have occurred in Fulton County or any other where at place. So I'm a little bit confused about the whole thing. It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird. Members of the enterprise, including several defendants, appeared at hearings in Fulton County. Oh, Lord. That's such a complicated First Amendment analysis. Oh, my God. Now you got statements because you're allowed to make false statements and you're making them specifically to the government, which is protected not only by freedom of speech, but also the separate right of freedom of petition. It is too late at night for a double level First Amendment analysis. Before members of the Georgia Assembly, at the hearings, members of the enterprise made false statements concerning fraud. My brain is already resetting. The purpose of the false statements was to persuade Georgia legislatures to reject lawful electoral votes cast by duly elected and qualified presidential electors from Georgia, which, at least at the time, they had the power to do. Members of the enterprise corruptly solicited Georgia's legislatures instead to unlawfully appoint their own electors for the purpose of casting electoral votes. That wouldn't be unlawful, at least not in my view, not at the time, not given the relevant law. They changed it recently for the Electoral Count Act, but at the time, I don't think it's unlawful. You could also argue it's still not unlawful even now because you can still make a constitutional argument, but it obviously gets a little bit harder because now you have to go against direct statutory authority. But I digress. Members of the enterprise also made false statements to state legislatures during hearings and meetings in Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania to persuade legislatures in those states to unlawfully appoint their own electors. Man, that is such a weird place to start. I wouldn't start here. That is such a weird place to start. That feels like a bad place to start this idea, right? I'd want to start with something a lot stronger. I want to start with start with something really strong. And your strongest argument is they lied to the legislature. It's like, but there's a right to petition for redress of grievances. You don't have to be right in fact. You can, and what they were doing wasn't even unlawful under the Electoral Count Act, because the Constitution says, lest I remind you, the Constitution of the United States says the states shall choose their electors with a U, because it's old spelling, right? They shall choose their electors, CHUSE, right? So each state can make the decision. And the Electoral Count Act at the time didn't really change this with respect to when, right? Now, I mean, it did a little bit because it had these it had these dates about these dates for, when things had to be certified by certain dates, but it didn't at least preclude the legislature from sending a different slate, at least if you did it by the drop dead date and possibly even after. Because the state legislature could be like, yeah, we just changed our mind. Incidentally, this was discussed a little bit, although obviously not as prominently, but this was discussed a little bit with the 2000 election with Gore for very similar reasons. Because one of the ideas was, and this was talked a little bit around the time, although not really publicly very much, but there was an idea that, what was going on with the court system and in the Florida courts and stuff like that. One of the ideas that was sort of floated to solve the problem was let's just bypass the entire court system and get the Florida legislature to put forward a slate of ballots or a slate of people, right? And that obviously didn't happen, but there was an idea there that was percolating at the time. So it was good stuff. So anyways, so there's a couple problems with this, right? You have a right to petition for redress of grievances. If your grievances is the election is full of shit, the legislature should cast a different slate, then that's a valid exercise of the right to petition, right? So it's not unlawful. And it's certainly not undisputably unlawful, particularly at the time. Maybe now with changes to the Electoral Count Act, but of course you don't go backwards in time on the criminal law because of ex post facto. So, and also, were the statements necessarily knowingly false in all these situations? Because again, time is an issue here and various time frames, and what was thought to be true and what wasn't thought to be true. And this just and it's like you're using arguably protected First Amendment activity as your launching off point, right? I mean, I would use the solicitation isn't unlawful, right? That's one of the problems, like false statements to and solicitation of state legislatures. The solicitation wasn't unlawful. I don't think so, but they seem to think the solicitation was unlawful. They seem to think it was unlawful to go to the legislature and be like, cast a different slate of ballots. But I don't think that's unlawful. So the whole thing is weird. I don't like the way this starts. It starts off in a really weird, it starts off in a legally ambiguous place at best. And you don't want to really start off in a legally ambiguous place. If you're going to have legally ambiguous stuff, you kind of bury it down somewhere in the middle. When you've already made your streak, if you have to have some stuff that's a little bit weaker, you bring out your really strong stuff, you sandwich method it. You start out with the strong stuff, you end strong, and you throw the weak stuff somewhere in the middle. But they're starting right away with this stuff that's a little bit legally dubious. So that's all good stuff. The DA is holding a press conference. I'm not interested in covering that right now. I'm too busy trying to analyze this. I can only analyze one thing at a time. But thank you for asking, Kestrel. I wasn't trying to be short. I'm just a little tired. Members of the enterprise, including several defendants, made false statements in Fulton County and elsewhere in the state of Georgia to Georgia officials, including the governor, secretary of state, and speaker of the House of Representatives. It's not clear that this is within Fulton County within the meaning of the law, as we've discussed. Yeah. Members of the enterprise also corruptly solicited Georgia officials to violate their oaths by unlawfully changing the outcome. I'm not sure that's corruption, not within the meaning of the law. Members of the enterprise also made false statements to and solicited state officials in Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. That's your strong case. Members of the enterprise, including several of the defendants, created false electoral college documents and recruited individuals to convene and cast false electoral votes at the Georgia State Capitol in Fulton County. After the false electoral count votes were cast, members of the enterprise transmitted the votes to the President of the United States Senate, the Archivist of the U.S. Senate, the Georgia Secretary of State, and the Chief Judge for the district. The false documents were intended to disrupt and delay the joint session of Congress in order to unlawfully change the outcome. Similar schemes were executed by members of the enterprise in Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Members of the enterprise, including several defendants, falsely accused Fulton County election worker Ruby Freeman of committing election crimes in Fulton County. Was this with the counting of the ballots, like in the after evening thing, with the whole with that thing? I mean, there was a legitimate question there for a while about the whole thing. In furtherance of the scheme, members of the enterprise traveled from out of state to harass Freeman, intimidate her, and solicit her to falsely confess to election crimes she did not commit. Uh-huh. Oh my God. Oh no, no, no. Solicitation of high-ranking United States Department of Justice officials? Oh, dude. Oh, come on. Donald Trump is president at the time that they're describing these events. I think. And can Donald Trump falsely solicit high-ranking members of the U.S. government? I'm not sure he can, because he's the president and that whole unitary executive thing. Like, the high-ranking members of the Department of Justice work for him. They're his agents. So it's not even 100% clear he can falsely solicit them within the meaning of the law. In one instance, Donald Trump said to the acting attorney general, just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and Republican congressmen. We're not off to a great start, people. We are not off to a great start. We are not off to a great start. There has got to have been a better way to do this. There's got to have been a better way to do this. There's got to have been a better way to organize this. There's got to have been a better way to present this, because some of these arguments are legally questionable, and at best, it's just like, to the extent we're talking about when Donald Trump is present and talking to members of the Justice Department, because he's the president, he's talking to himself. That's in the nature of the unitary executive theory, right? All the executive power is in the president. So when the president is talking to the Department of Justice, he's talking to himself. So because they are him. They're fractions of him. That's in the nature of the thing, right? They are his agents. They are fractions of him. They are pieces of him. All their power necessarily derives from him. So he's talking to himself. And this is what you want to start with? Falsely soliciting the Department of Justice? Okay. Members of the enterprise, including several defendants, corruptly solicited the vice president to violate the U.S. Constitution and federal law by unlawfully rejecting electoral college cast in Fulton County by the duly elected and qualified president-electors from Georgia. Again, were they cast in Fulton County? Not clear within the meaning of the law, because the state house may not strictly be speaking in Fulton County because of the operations of law. So that's going to be a fight. If this turns into a pissing match between the AG, the state AG, and Fulton County DA and some other people, I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it if this turns into a pissing match between different levels of which authority. Will the real Georgia police stand up? Will the real Georgia police stand up? I said we were going to assume that she had the power. I can't even get past page 3 and keep my promise. Members of the enterprise, including several defendants, corruptly conspired in Fulton County and elsewhere to unlawfully access secure voting equipment and voter data. In Georgia, members of the enterprise stole data, including ballot images, voting equipment, software, and personal voter information. What are you talking about? I'm not clear right now. Members of the enterprise, including several defendants, filed false documents, made false statements, and committed perjury in judicial proceedings and elsewhere in furtherance of cover up the conspiracy. As part of and on behalf of the racketeering activity, defense and other members of the enterprise committed overt acts, including but not limited to, on or about the fourth day of November 2020, which is literally the day after the election, Donald Trump made a nationally televised speech. Really? Seriously? Okay. Okay. Made a nationally televised speech falsely declaring victory in the 2020 presidential election. Approximately 4 days earlier, on or about October 31st, Donald Trump discussed a draft speech with an unindicted co-conspirator whose identity is known to the grand jury that falsely declared victory and falsely claimed voter fraud. What? What the fuck? What the fuck? Um, hold on. How did they do that? I don't actually think I need OCR to highlight this. I just need to highlight this. Where's my goddamn highlighter? All right. October the 31st of 2020. Why is my highlighter not highlighting? Why is my highlighter not highlighting? It's too late. Just highlight. Just highlight. Just highlight for me, please. No! Highlight! All right. All right. So my highlighter is not highlighting. So my ability to be a good YouTuber has come to a complete end. And I'm very unhappy about it. All right. On October 31st, he discussed a draft speech that falsely declared victory. How is that possible? How is that technically possible? How is that technically possible? The election didn't occur till November 3rd. Right? The election didn't occur till November 3rd of 2020. So how is it technically possible? How is it technically possible for him on October 31st to draft a speech that falsely declares victory? How's that possible? How do you do that? How do you do that? Please, someone explain it to me. The election doesn't occur until November the 3rd of 2020. The election occurred November the 3rd of 2020. How is it possible, technically, 4 days before the election even happens, to draft a speech that falsely declares victory? The only way that that's possible, the only way that that's technically possible, there is one way for it to be technically possible. But I think there's only one way for it to be technically possible, right? So I'm now going to answer my own question. How is it technically possible 4 days before the election to draft a speech that falsely claims victory? How is that technically possible? There's only one way I can think of that that's technically possible. The only way that that's technically possible that I can think of is that it was in fact false 4 days before the election, because even though the election hasn't occurred yet, the election is fixed. And he knew that. The fix was in on October the 31st. That's the only way that's possible. The fix is in on October the 31st. So even though the election won't occur for another 4 days, it is false. And he knows it's false because the fix is in and he knows it. So did the Fulton County DA just admit to election fraud in their own charging document? Did the Fulton County DA just admit to election fraud and that the entire election is a scam, that the entire election was fixed? The entire election was fixed and known on October 31st. So of course it was false. He knew it was false because he knew he was going to lose 4 days later for an absolute certainty because it was already determined. Right? Right? Isn't that the only way for it to be false? Otherwise, it's unknown, right? It's unknown on October 31st. You don't know whether it's false or not because it hasn't happened yet. The only way for it to be false is that it has happened. And so then it can be false because the outcome is determined, right? That's how you know. It's like me saying I am going to win the Boston Marathon next year. If I tell you right now, if I say to you, friends, I will win the Boston Marathon next year, is that false? Well, unless one of you guys out there has a time travel machine, there's no way you can say that's false. So unless one of you has a time travel machine or is God, it can't be false. The only way it can be false is if the winner of the Boston Marathon has already been determined, and I know that for a matter of fact. And so, of course, it's false because there's no way for me to win because the fix is in. We didn't make it very far in the document before we had a complete conniption. We didn't make it very far before we made a complete conniption. Also, falsely claims voter fraud. How does he know 4 days in advance whether or not there's voter fraud or not? That's just the existential stuff. That's just the existential stuff. Even if somehow Donald Trump knew all that for somehow an absolute certainty, it still wouldn't be illegal. It still wouldn't be illegal. Because if Donald Trump gets up and gives a televised speech declaring victory, even if he's knowingly lying, it's legal. It's legal. The First Amendment protects false speech. It's legal. So even if so first of all, it's all the existential stuff with how is he supposed to know it's false? But even if he knows it's false, it still doesn't matter because Act 1 is fully legal. So apparently Act 1 of the RICO is something that's totally and 100% legal. That's 100% legal. You can do that. You can, in fact, legally make a speech on national TV saying some bullshit. The First Amendment protects bullshit. You can write a speech that's a total lie, and you can get up and you can deliver that speech. It's a total lie, and you can do it on national TV, and it's 100% legal. So even assuming somehow that he drafted this speech with his co-conspirator, he conspired with his co-conspirator to do a legal thing. So Act 1 is legal. So Act 1 in support of the RICO is 100% legal. I don't know which is stupider. I can't even make it through the first act without it just being stupid. It's just varying degrees of stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Here's one for you. How about this? DA, hey, my name is Kurt Mueller, and I won the November 2020 election for President of the United States. Come after me, bitch. Come after me. My name is Kurt Mueller, and I won the November 2020 presidential election for President of the United States. Come after me. Act 2. Act 2. On or about the 15th day of November 2020, Rudy Giuliani placed a telephone call to some person whose identity is known and left an 83-second long voicemail message making statement concerning fraud. I don't know what the fuck that means. And I'm certainly not willing to take your word for it at this point. What is a statement concerning fraud? I'm totally unwilling to take your word for it at this point because, your credibility has gone to complete hell. Oh, and then there's Act 2, and then there's also Act 2. Well, it's nice that we spent so much time, on our proofreading and making sure we got it right, and also making sure that it's also making sure that there weren't any silly mistakes, like accidentally accusing someone of time travel, and also we charged them with a predicate act, which is completely 100% legal. I don't. So that was Act 2, where apparently we made statements concerning fraud, whatever the fuck that means. So I don't know how I'm supposed to analyze that. Also, Act 2, Rudy Giuliani, Janet Ellis, and Sidney Powell appeared at a press conference and made a false statement concerning fraud. It's legal. It's legal. It's legal. It's legal. You mean they got together and they gave a press conference to members of the press saying things, perhaps even false things, perhaps even lies? Are you saying that they got up and they went to the RNC and they gave a press conference and they made statements and those statements were false? In fact, they knew they were false. They knew deep in their hardest of hearts, in their blackest of blackest hearts, they knew it was falsehoods all the way down. Is that what you're telling me? Because it's legal. It's because it's legal. It's legal. So far in the first 3 counts of the RICO, we have 2 completely legal activities and one that I don't know what the hell it is. And so, yeah. It's going over great, guys. It's going over great. I didn't know, this actually might be more amateur hour than Bragg's indictment out of New York. And that's sad. That's really sad. And we know what's even really sadder about it? I don't think it had to be that way. I don't think it had to be that way. I don't think they had to do this. And I don't think they had to do it in this order or they had to do it this way. Like, they have some stuff that might be superficially plausible, but we haven't gotten anywhere near it yet. And by the time we get down there, I'm not going to care anymore. Because that's the problem, right? You've lost all my interest. You've lost all my interest. It's like, I can't be bothered to care. This is like, you got to be careful when you make arguments. It's like, if you see, the thing is, like, if you tell people lies, they'll stop trusting you. It's like the boy who cried wolf thing, right? It's like the boy who cried wolf. It's like, if you tell me like a whole bunch of stuff, it's like, I don't be bothered to care. By the time I get to something I do care about, I won't care anymore either anyway, because I've been so desensitized. So I don't know why they did it this way. So I think I might, honest to God, just be more upset at the draftsmanship of this than what they're doing, because this is the form of it is shit, and it didn't have to be, and it offends me. So what else legal did they do? You want to tell me about some other legal things they did? What are legal things that they did they do? Act 4. Okay, so apparently we have an email that stated that a Georgia bail bondsman has been looking to the election on behalf of the president at the request of them, asked him to exchange contact information to help him as needed. So that's another legal thing. Does anyone know if any point they're going to charge him with anything that's illegal? And you see, they're not even arguing that these are just like, I mean, because look at how it's drafted, right? They're not arguing that this is like information that is in furtherance of the act. They're arguing it is the act. It's even labeled that way. It's labeled Act 4 or Act 2, right? Like a bad Shakespeare, or Act 3 or Act 1. Right? So it's not that he did the speech declaring victory as an incidental or an aside or a step along the way or as part and parcel of some sort of criminal scheme. It is the criminal scheme, because that's how they drafted it. Act 1, right? Act 1 should be it should be everything. It should be illegal, right? I shouldn't have to go to Act 2, right? Because this is all about predicate acts, right? These are the overt acts to affect the objectives of the enterprise, and it's legal. Shouldn't it be illegal? Wouldn't that be good? Did Donald Trump actually break a law? Act 6. Mr. Meadows sent a text message to Scott Perry and stated, "Can you send me the number for the Speaker and leader of the PO legislature? POTUS wants to chat." This is an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Really? So, okay. So I was trying to meet up with Aussie Overlord in the I was trying to meet up with Aussie Overlord during the whole anime Matsuri thing, and I was traveling. I was on the road and I was like, "Hey, could you find a contact?" I sent a message to Nate. I said, "Hey Nate, could you help find a contact number for Aussie Overlord so that we can get in touch and meet up and stuff? Could you help me find?" It's like, "Well, you could send him a DM." I'm like, "I can't really do it right now because I'm driving. Would you mind doing it for me, Nate?" He's like, "Oh, okay." So I asked Nate to help me find a contact number for Aussie Overlord so I might be able to talk to him. So apparently I'm guilty of some sort of conspiracy, which I'm not sure what it is, but apparently that's now a predicate act in our conspiracy. So I apologies to Nate the lawyer, who I have apparently now entangled in some sort of conspiracy that also implicates RICO. Wow. Dude, I got to go into hiding, man. Shit. I gotta go to hiding. Damn, I'm committing predicate crimes all the time, man. I asked my friend, "Could you help me find the number of a different friend? Because I'd like to get in touch with him." Wow, damn, I'm just involved in all kinds of conspiracies over here. Shit. On or about November 22nd, Donald Trump and Giuliani placed a telephone call to the Speaker of Arizona. During a telephone call, he made false statement concerning fraud and solicited, requested, and importuned Bowers to unlawfully. The DA is really happy with themselves for writing the word importuned, aren't they? They're really happy with themselves. Like, oh, I got to break off. I got to use the word off my word a day calendar. Importuned. Wow. Importuned Bowers to unlawfully appoint presidential elections from Arizona, which I'm not sure it would be unlawful, but whatever. Bowers declined and later testified to the House that he told Trump, "I would not break my oath. I'm losing the will to live. I am losing the will to live as we speak." On 25th of November, Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis appeared, spoke, and presented witnesses at meetings of the Pennsylvania legislature. During the meeting, Giuliani made false statements concerning fraud, presidential election, and solicited requests and importuned the legislature unlawfully appoint presidential elections. Now, I will note the slight hubris that is implicit in the Fulton County DA telling the great state of Pennsylvania and its legislatures what would or would not be legal for Pennsylvania. Is there a statute she's quoting from? Is there some part of the Pennsylvania code she wants to cite to and be like, "Hey, Pennsylvania has declared this to be a crime"? Because if you go look up Pennsylvania code section number 420.69, blaze it clearly says that this is an act in offense of the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. No, she isn't citing anything. She's just declaring it to be true because she's the Fulton County DA and she fully knows that this would be unlawful in Pennsylvania. Also, apparently, Arizona. That's a lot of hubris. I'm just saying, that's a lot of hubris. You got a county DA who is now speaking for the states of Pennsylvania and Arizona, and apparently also Georgia, also, by the way, which is also a bit of hubris. Who is Georgia? I am Georgia. Are you, though? Are you Georgia? Sometime in November, immediately after the Gettysburg thing, where they appeared, spoke, and presented witnesses, they invited a group of the Pennsylvania legislators and others to meet with him at the White House. Okay, people, we have totally passed the bend. We have passed the bend, and we have reached a new low. I didn't even know it was possible. But apparently, now being extended an invitation to the White House is now criminal. Apparently, if the President of the United States says, would you like to come by the White House and talk, that's bad. So whatever you do, don't go to the White House, because apparently the President of the United States inviting you to the White House is now part and parcel of a criminal conspiracy. Once again, by the way, in and of itself, because I want this point to be noted, in and of itself, because this is Act 9. It's a fully contained thought. It's a fully contained thought, Act 9, right? This is the thing. This is the thing. It's fully contained. It's right there, Act 9, right? This is the problem, right? So it's not Joe Biden invited the guy over from Burisma to the White House to have a conversation where they furthered their plans to help take money and 10% for the big guy, as Hunter Biden went and stroked it in the corner somewhere, because that's probably how he rolls. You know, it's not part and parcel of an overall criminal schema. No, it is in and of itself the act, which apparently is wrong now. In and of itself. Not as part of a thing. This is an act. This is an act of the predicate act that can stand for itself. Later, they met with a group of legislators at the White House and discussed holding a special session. Oh my God, asking the Pennsylvania legislature to hold a special session of its own legislature is now part of a criminal conspiracy. Holy shit, guys. I mean, you know, I'm glad that they told me that, because, you know, I had some ideas for Texas, and, you know, the legislative session is kind of over right now, and they only meet every other year. And I was like, you know, I really think that I've got some great ideas for Texas. You know, I know you guys typically only meet every other year, but how would you like Texas? How would you like to have a special legislature session just for me? How'd you like to get together just for me and pass some laws just for me? It'll be great. I'm on civil law. We can have a meeting, and you guys can pass laws just for me. I know you guys aren't typically in session, but my ideas are best ideas. Have you considered having a special meeting of the legislature just for me? But apparently, my request to do this now is illegal. Well, I guess I'll be calling the governor's office a lot less often now. You know, as I call the governor's office and be like, you know, hey, governor, have you thought about, you know, doing me a solid? You know, because we're BFFs. But apparently that's illegal now. Apparently I'm not allowed to call the governor's office or something. I don't know. I skipped Act 5 for all the... What was Act 5? Oh, Michigan legislatures. Okay, so they met with the Michigan legislatures in the Oval Office too. So apparently that was also illegal. So, okay, noted. Sorry I missed Act 5. I'm sorry I missed that blazing bit of information. That was really the domino that explained so many things. Sorry, I missed that, guys. If I had only read Act 5, I would have understood the grand plan. Now that I've read Act 5, it all comes together. Oh, you mean that he met with the Michigan legislature too? Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Now I understand. The walls are closing in on Trump, people. The walls are closing in. They're closing in. Uh, on on Act 10, voicemail message for electing electors 11, soliciting to unlawfully appoint electors 12. Is any of this going to be illegal at any point? Lefting a voicemail message for purpose soliciting to appoint electors 12. Oh, there's no 13. Oh, but there are two 12s. There are two 12s, but there is no 13. The Georgia legislature doesn't believe in all the numbers, or at least their DA doesn't. Is it only things? Is it only threes? They don't believe in threes? Is that the deal? Hold on. Because wasn't it 3 earlier? Yeah, so we had double Act 2s, and now we have double 12s. Do we not believe in the number 3? Is the number 3 cursed? Am I being unsensitive to Georgia? I did not realize the number 3 was an evil number. So I apologize. Is there a 23? There is a 23 though. There is a 23 though. So apparently we have found it within ourselves. We have steeled our resolve, and we've steeled our resolves, and we found the courage to write 23. So Act 12, something about a voicemail, and also Act 12, something about a telephone call. Act 14, Act 15, Act 16. It's the same thing. It's just over and over again. It's every voice call. It's every text message. It's everything. I'm surprised at this point they didn't put acts about Donald Trump's musings when he was taking a dump on the White House toilet. Because, maybe Melania was walking by. It's like, I can't out to get this shit, election. Maybe we can bring a conspiracy with the sewer king from Batman or something who was listening in on Trump's messages or something. I don't know. 16 voicemail. 17 Rudy Giuliani and Ellis appeared, spoke, and presented witnesses at a meeting of the Arizona legislature in Phoenix, Arizona. Does Arizona have any opinion about any of this, by the way? Are they joining you? Are you getting the county? I don't even know what county Phoenix is in. Are you getting the county DA from Phoenix, Pro Hoc Vichade over here in Georgia? Are they going to be joining you on this quixotic quest? Maybe that'd be good. Maybe you get all the county DAs from all these various places, and you get them all Pro Hoc Vichade, and they can all stand up there together, and they can talk about their horrible quest, and you can have your group therapy session in some Fulton County court somewhere or whatever. Nighthawk in chat asks, how is Arizona part of Georgia RICO? I stopped asking questions like that some time ago at this point. Unindicted co-conspirator 5 and 6, whose names are known, were also present during the meeting and made false statements concerning fraud in Arizona and solicited, requested, and importuned. Someone's really getting their mileage out of their word a day calendar. I know I've told that joke before, but I'm tired and give me a break. Presented the meeting to unlawfully appoint the presidential electors. During the meeting, Ellis solicited, requested, and importuned the legislatures present the meeting to unlawfully appoint presidential meeting. He joined the meeting by telephone and made false statements. These were overt acts. On the Act 18, Georgia legislature to convince them to unlawfully appoint election states. I like how you say it's unlawful. Oh my God. Act 19. Oh, good. Donald Trump and Meadows met with John McEntee, who apparently is not being indicted, I guess, because his name is not in bold, and requested McEntee prepare a memorandum outlining a strategy for disrupting and delaying the joint session. The strategy included having Vice President Pence count only half the electoral votes from certain states and then returning the remaining votes. The request was an overt act of furtherance and conspiracy. So wait a second. Is every failed legal theory or every failed legal idea now a conspiracy? Because that seems to be like where this is going. Like, especially like, and also none of it, and that's not even sure that some of it's not lawful now. Like, if I compare a complaint and like I lose, is that like in and of itself like a fraud on the court now? You know, it's like, so, you know, especially if you're like working it as an idea, right? Because at this point, you're not even talking about it being in court, right? At this point, we're not even talking about it being in court. At this point, we're just talking about it being preparing a memorandum outlining a strategy, right? So if you come to me as a lawyer and you're like, oh, can you prepare a memorandum outlining a strategy to do XYZ? And like I start working on it. And then I'm like, you know what? This isn't going to work. We can't do it. Or what if I put together a memorandum and I'm like, I don't know if this is really going to work. You know, this seems questionable. I don't think this is really going to work, but here's some ideas I had, you know, that we could try. Am I now guilty of a conspiracy as a lawyer now? Because, you know, I maybe even knowingly pushed the law as a lawyer might do. As a lawyer might do, right? A lawyer might actually knowingly push the law and be like, I don't know if this is going to quite work, but I have some ideas and maybe we can try these ideas and see if it goes anywhere. Is that like, am I doing it bad now? Because it's like, oh man, there's no law that supports this. I'm like, well, not yet. Not yet, but you know, maybe. And if the court agrees with me, are they part of the conspiracy now? Is this all part of some really grand scheme to indict the U.S. Supreme Court as being part of a conspiracy with Donald Trump? That would be great. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Donald Trump, when he was president, and some of his laws for that matter, after he was president, right? While he was president, he did things. And he made arguments to the U.S. Supreme Court, and those arguments were legally invalid, but the Supreme Court agreed anyway. So we're going to charge the U.S. Supreme Court with conspiracy. Let's charge this U.S. Supreme Court with a RICO. Because they knowingly bought the big lie. Right? Does this mean that I can indict the U.S. Supreme Court now for like Wickard v. Filburn or Chevron versus NRDC? Is that a thing? I didn't think it was a thing. I didn't know I could charge them with, you know, with I mean those are a lot of predicate activities involving commerce. Can I charge the entire US Supreme Court now for like the last 90 years with RICO? Uncivil Supreme Court is best court. It's late and I'm having a fever dream. And I'm sorry. It doesn't make any sense. I know it doesn't make sense. But that's what you tuned in for. You tuned in for a guy who is slowly losing his mind and is about halfway away from saying the people on this plane are not real. They're lizard people, and the plane should not take off. Fishby is becoming more and more real with every passing moment. Yeah. Oh, look at Uncivil. He's talking to Fishby again. How cute. Wait a second. Does uncivil law realize that Fishby isn't real? It's uncivil law, okay? Okay. Something fraud, something Michigan, something tweet. Really, Act 22 is just a tweet. On the third day of December, he caused a tweet from the Twitter account. Georgia hearings now on OANN. Amazing. Really? Seriously? Okay. I may have reached a point where my mind is truly going to crack. Act 22. Act 22. This apparently is a predicate act. Unto itself, mind you. Unto itself. This is a predicate act as part of the conspiracy. On or about the third day of December, 2020, Donald John Trump caused to be tweeted from the Twitter account at Real Donald Trump. Georgia hearings now on at OANN. Amazing. This was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. And I lose my shit. Tweeting Georgia hearings now on at OANN. Amazing. Is now unto itself an act in furtherance of the conspiracy. You know, it's been a while since I got really wasted on stream. It has been a while. It has been a hot minute since I got really wasted on stream. I've been good because I was like, getting really wasted on stream is not a good thing for you, Uncivil. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your perception, people. It's not good all the way around. But yeah, I'm thinking about like shotgunning a bottle of wine right about now. Which I'm not even sure that's possible, but can you shotgun a bottle of wine? Or something, because this is a criminal act unto itself. This on about the third day of December 2020, Donald Trump caused to be tweeted from his Twitter account at Real Donald Trump. Georgia hearings now on OANN. Amazing. Oh my God, I'm about to be indicted by Georgia. Oh shit. Oh God damn it. I'm about to be indicted by Georgia. Act 23. Act 23. On or about the 14th day of August 2023, Kurt Mueller caused to be broadcast from his YouTube channel a video discussing this indictment and criticizing and commentating about it. This was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Shit. I hope Georgia has nice jails. Damn it. Let me call Joe. Let me call Joe or Nick and see if I can join their streams or they can join my streams. Then we'll have like 2 or 3 of us together. Hey, what's it called again? What's it called when you have like 2 or 3 people in an agreement to act in concert with each other to further something and one of them takes an overt act again? What's that called? Is it too late for me to call Joe and Nick? All right. Oh, what? This one has length to it. On or about the third day of December, Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, Jana Ellis and Ray Stallings committed a felony offense of solicitation of vote of an officer. Well, at least this one has a citation. At least this one has a citation to something. So this one at least cites a provision of some code. Not that any of these other ones did, by the way. So when we got to 23, we actually cite something that might actually be illegal because we actually cited code. Anyways, in violation of Fulton County, Georgia, by unlawfully soliciting, requesting, and importuning certain public officers then serving as elected members of the Georgia Senate and present at Senate President of the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee, including unindicted co-conspirator 8, whose identity is known, and some various senators, to engage in constituting the felony offense of violation of oath by unlawfully appointing presidential actions in willful or intentional violation of the terms of the oath. Wow, what a bullshit. What a bullshit. Felony violation of oath. So if one of those senators actually put forward the proposal, which I don't know if any of them did, in any of these states, incidentally, it doesn't necessarily have to be Georgia. I don't know if any senator or any House member in any state put forward a formal proposal to change the electoral count. It wouldn't surprise me if someone did. I don't know if anyone did off the top of my head, but it wouldn't surprise me. So if any senator or any House member anywhere put forward a formal proposal to change the slate of electors, are they now in violation of their oath by doing that? Are they part of the conspiracy? For the House member and the Senate member who objected on the House floor of the U.S. House during the electoral count and objected, are they part of the conspiracy by challenging those votes? When Maxine Waters stood up many moons ago and said, I want to throw out some votes because I don't like it, was she part of the conspiracy? They're all part of the conspiracy. So apparently it would have been a violation of the oath for any of them to be what, you know what? I think we should change our slate of electors. I mean, after all, the U.S. Constitution literally says that the states shall choose their electors. And you know what? We tried the whole voting thing, but I don't really think it worked out that well. And I think we should do something else. Now, while that would be insanely dumb politically, it wouldn't be illegal. In December 2020, Rudy Giuliani committed the offense of false statements by writing 96,000 ballots. Mail-in ballots were counted, despite there being no record of ballots having been returned to a county election officer. I'm sorry, I was trying to parse the stupid and I lost my way. On or about the 3rd day of December, Rudy Giuliani committed a felony offense of false statements in writing in Fulton County by knowingly, willfully, and unlawfully making at least one of the following false statements and representations to members of the Georgia Senate President and Senate Judiciary Committee: that at least 96,600 mail-in ballots were counted in November 3rd, 2020 presidential election in Georgia, despite there being no record of those ballots having been returned to a county elections office. I'm imagining quite a lot more than 96,000 mail-in ballots were counted, so I'm very confused by that. That Dominion Voting Systems equipment used in November 3rd, 2020 presidential election in Artman County, Michigan, which we're talking about Michigan now. Did Michigan and Georgia become the same state while I wasn't paying attention? Mistakenly recorded 6,000 votes for Joseph Biden, when his votes were actually counted for Donald Trump. Said statements being within the jurisdiction of the Georgia Secretary of State and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. As to what happened in Artman County, Michigan, how powerful is the Georgia Secretary of State? They have jurisdiction over Artman County, Michigan now? Wow. Damn, there's been a change in our constitutional republic, and I wasn't even paying attention. Departments and agencies of state government, county and city agents. This was an act of racketeering and overt act of furtherance of conspiracy. How did Michigan enter this? Act 26. On or about the third day of December 2020, Donald Trump caused to be tweeted from the Twitter account at Real Donald Trump. Wow. Blockbuster testimony taking place right now in Georgia. Ballot stuffing by Dems when Republicans were forced to leave the large counting room. Plenty more coming, but this alone leads to an easy win of the state. This was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. I hate it. I hate it. I'm almost offended at this point to be talking about this indictment. I think I've reached a new level. I've reached a new level. I think I actually feel offended by this indictment. I feel offended by this indictment. They're throwing all the stuff that is like legal, and this indictment hurts me. Yeah, and half of it's legal, if not more. The other half, I don't know. Third day of December, Donald Trump caused to be tweeted. People in Georgia got cold, bringing in massive numbers of ballots and putting them in voting machines. Great job at Brian Kemp. Malcolm says, pop on the Joe show. No, I don't think so, but Joe's more than welcome to pop onto my show if he wants. But thank you for the super chat. This is just $5 from Joseph D. Martino. Even if the Georgia legislature would have violated their oath in changing the electoral slates, how is asking them to commit a crime? That's a good question. I don't know. Specifically when you're talking about petition for redress of grievances. This offends me. This is just bad. This is just bad. It's sloppy and lazy, and there's no cleverness in it. It offends me as a lawyer. It's just brute force. I mean, even Bragg's indictment in New York, for all the problems it had more cleverness than this. Like, a lot of what he's doing doesn't work, and he's stretching it. But with Bragg, at least, it felt like, as much as he was pushing it, it felt more honest, or it felt more like what a lawyer would do. Like, it's some bullshit. It's some bullshit, but it was clever. And this isn't clever. Like, there's nothing. This is just like, Tweet bad. Or there's nothing clever about it. It's a PR document. Did I get a message from Joe? I haven't been looking at my DMs. Why? Did he send me a message? He did send me a link. I don't know. This is just I don't know that I don't know whether or not it's a good thing for me to do. I guess we can take a poll. That requires me actually figuring out how to do that though. See if you guys want me to bounce over there or something, but I have to go over here and actually set up a poll. Joe also has a nasty tendency of like dominating the conversation sometimes, which cannot be fun. We'll ask you guys and see what you say. Joe sometimes can go on these long rants, makes it difficult for me to get in edgewise. If you do send a link, I'll join. I can't send you a link, and even if, I have no power to send you a link. I'm not going to send you a link. That's the stupidest comment I think I might have ever heard in my life. If you do send me a link, I'll join. Yeah, I'm going to send you a link to someone else's stream that they're hosting. Wow, that is no. Did you realize how inappropriate that suggestion even is? And it's like, oh, you're going to that guy's party. Can you give me his address so that I can also go to the party? It's not my place to invite you. Oh my god. That seems to be split down the middle. So where are we on this poll? It's 50-50. You guys are split down the middle. Oh, you want to join my stream? I don't know who you are. So no, I don't know who you are. I won't send you a link to my stream. I don't know who you are. Why would I invite someone I don't know to my stream? That seems like a bad idea. You don't think they meant it that way? You think I'm misreading it? Well, let's see. What did it say again? If you do, send a link. I'll join. There's something off with this. Okay. I mean, I read it the way I read it. Met with the Speaker of the House. Overt. Maybe you think it made a link so they could watch it? Okay. I'm tired. Read interpreted it wrong. Well, I'm late. It's late. It's late. The way I read it is a way to parse it. Send a link so I can join. What are you joining? It is a way to parse it, and give me a break. It's late, and also I don't care. I'm not going. Screw it. I'm not going. Joe can join my stream if he wants. I'll send him a link back. How about that? I'll send you a link back. You can join my stream. You can join my stream. You want? All right, I send him a link back. He can join my stream. How about that? All right. Placed a telephone call to Georgia governor. Solicitor request or importune Kemp to call special session. This is further act of conspiracy. Sidney Powell entered into a written agreement with Sullivan, a forensic firm located in Fulton County, for the performance of computer forensic collections analysis. The unlawful breach of election equipment was substantially performed under this agreement. You hired a forensic data firm to do forensic collections, and that's an act of conspiracy? Dude, Chief sent an email to John Eastman. Said, I'm working on setting up a call with you with the speaker and President Pro Temp. I'm also making leadership aware of the important for Trump electors to meet on the 14th. Please provide a citation requirement of duties they must comply with. This is an act of conspiracy. This is an act of conspiracy. I'm working on setting up a call with you and the speaker and the President Pro Temp. Please provide citation to the requirements for the duties they must comply with. This is part of the conspiracy. What are you talking about? Robert Cheesley sent email to an unindicted co-conspirator whose identity is known to the grand jury that stated he'd been speaking with John Eastman, was attempting to set up a call with the speaker and President Pro Temp to encourage him to call a special session. In the email, he stated that Professor Eastman told me tonight that it's critical that 16 electors for Trump meet next Monday, vote in accordance with 3 USC 7. So that they meet and vote in accordance with law is now part of the conspiracy. That they vote in accordance with law is now part of the conspiracy. That's neat. That's neat. I can't read French, but thanks for the super chat. On 7th of December 2020, unindicted co-conspirator individual 2, whose name is known to the grand jury, sent email to Robert Cheney and David Shavar saying, Bob, can you get on a call with David Shavar? State GOP and I call there discussed. Bob has been on top of efforts of state. I got off a board call around 10:30. Rudy Giuliani caused a Twitter account to tweet a thing that said, a retweet. He retweeted. So retweeting is now a conspiracy. That's neat. So retweeting is now part of the conspiracy. Retweeting is now part of the conspiracy. Rudy Giuliani caused to be tweeted from the Twitter account at Rudy Giuliani a retweet. A retweet. Retweeting is now a felony. Retweeting is a felony. How long have I been in a coma? This must be a coma. How do I wake myself out of a coma? Because this doesn't make any sense. It must be that I'm in a coma somewhere. He retweeted a tweet that stated, Georgia Patriot call to action. Today's the day we need you to call your state Senate and House reps and ask them to sign a petition for a special session. We must have free and fair elections in Georgia, and this is our only path to ensuring every legal vote is counted at real Donald Trump. That's not part of the conspiracy. Yeah. No, we're way ahead of you, Richard. We're way ahead of you, Richard. We've already pointed out at multiple points that I've committed acts in furtherance of the conspiracy. I also said directly to camera that I, Kurt Mueller, won the November 3rd, 2020 election for President of the United States. A statement which at the time I said it is a knowing falsehood, and I said it anyway. So, Seventh day of December, Eastman sent a mail to Giuliani with attached memorandum titled "Real Deadline for Setting a State's Electoral Votes." The body email stated, "Here's the memo we discussed. The memorandum was written by Cheesebro to Troupis, an attorney associated with the Trump campaign and advocates for the position that the Trump presidential election nominees in Wisconsin should meet and cast electoral votes for Donald Trump, despite the fact Donald Trump lost the election in Wisconsin," which is after the conspiracy. What page am I on? 29? I'm only on page 29? Act 42. The answer. Donald Trump committed the felony offense of solicitation of violation of an oath in Fulton County by unlawfully soliciting, requesting, and importuning the Speaker, a public officer, to engage in conduct constituting a felony offense of violation of oath by calling a... Okay. By constituting a felony offense by calling a special session for the purpose of unlawfully appointing presidential elections from Georgia, and willful intention violations of terms of oath of the person as prescribed by law within the intent of the person engaged in the conduct. What the actual fuck? What the actual fuck? So, asking the Georgia House Speaker to call a special session is now a felony offense. Act 43. Donald Trump placed a telephone call to the Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr for the purpose of making false statements concerning the fraud. During the phone call, Trump asked Carr not to discourage other states' attorneys general from joining a federal lawsuit filed by Texas contesting the administration of the presidential election in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. This was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. not to discourage, is an acting conspiracy. Act 45. Michael Roman sent a text message to an undiagnosed co-conspirator. Is that a 1? It is. All right, people, I would like to bring your attention to Act 45, where we're apparently spelling the word individual with the number 1. As I use my last brain cell to descend into the madness of one individual 4. Whose identity is known to the grand jury, stated he's spoken to Misty Hampton, asked the 9-died co-conspirator individual 4 to get Misty Hampton to attend the hearing. Now, apparently, trying to get someone in particular to attend the hearing is also now criminal. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll be together some sunny day. We're smiling through all the things not to do. No love, those clouds are far away. Act 46. Cheeseborough wrote a memorandum titled Statutory Requirements for December 14th Electoral Votes to Troopus, an attorney. The memorandum provided detailed state-specific instructions for how Trump presidential election nominees would meet and cast votes for Trump, despite the fact that he lost the election. Yeah. You guys, incidentally, has the mic been any clearer at all today versus any other day? I decided to switch from voice mod to NVIDIA broadcast to see if it left it any clearer. So is the quality of the audio been any better or worse or different, or did you not notice? It wasn't supposed to be a big change, but in the effort of trying to continue trying things, I was like, let's give NVIDIA broadcast another try. It's been great. Excellent. So, all right, cool. Sound is clear. Excellent. Very good. I try. I'm always trying to make things better for you guys, one way or another, one step at a time. Yeah, it shouldn't be like a huge change. It's a pretty modest change, but still. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty modest, but I figured it was worth the shot. Anywho, number 47. Kenneth Cheesebro sent an email to the party chairman, an unindicted co-conspirator whose identity is known, Kenneth John Cheesebro, sent an email to certain individuals associated with the Trump campaign, asked him to help coordinate with other 5 contested states to help with logistics of electors hopefully joining and casting their vote on Monday. And that's part of the conspiracy. Whisper into Callie's ear, go bite Kurt so he'll go to bed. Hello, Kurt. How are you, Callie? I'm good, Kurt. Are you sure you're okay? Well, Callie, I think in some ways you started the descent into madness. You think so? Yeah. Well, yeah, because California said the bees are fish, and now this. So I think maybe you're not so much an abomination as you are the harbinger, the harbinger of the end. You think I'm a harbinger? Yes, I think you are. Oh well, you know the truth too. You know too much. Okay. What else we got? 50. Cheeseboro sent an email to the Republican Party of Wisconsin chairman with proposed language for documents to be used by Trump elector documents for the purpose of casting electoral votes, despite the fact they lost the election. Act 51. Cheeseboro sent an email to the Republican Party vice chairman, stating in the email and other individuals so with Trump campaign asked him to reach out to you and other Nevada electors to run point on the plan to have all Trump's Pence electors in all 6 contested states meet and transmit their votes to Congress on Monday, December 14th. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep. uh, 55. Committed the found some violation of law by unlawfully soliciting, requesting, importuning certain officials then serving as elected members in the committees, constructing offense by unlawfully appointing presidential elections in willful violation of law, furtherance of the conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. On Act 56. Act 56. On or about the 10th day of December in 2020, Judy Olney committed the felony offense of false statements and writings in violation of law by knowingly, willfully, and unlawfully making at least one of the following statements and representations. That it's quite clear from the State Farm Arena video from November 3rd that Fulton County election workers were stealing votes and that Georgia officials were covering up a crime in plain sight. Is that not just an opinion? Nevada. 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 Yeah, I know there's a dispute on Nevada and pronunciation. I'm tired. All you Silver State bastards out there, I don't know how you pronounce your name, but whatever. That State Farm Arena on November 3rd, Democratic officials got rid of all the reporters, all observers, anyone couldn't be trusted, used the excuse of water main break, cleared the voting area, and then went about their dirty, crooked business. And between 12,000 and 24,000 votes were illegally counted by the workers. Then in Michigan, there were 700,000 more ballots that were sent out by voters, which counted for a quadruple counting of ballots. That Ruby Freeman, Shia Moss, and unidentified man were quite obviously surreptitiously passing around USB ports as if they're vials of heroin or cocaine to be used to infiltrate the crooked domain voting machines. I like that. It's very artistic expression. That 96,600 mail-in ballots were used. Blah 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 blah. Okay, I have completely and absolutely lost the plot, people. I told you at the start I was kind of tired, and I told you we kind of do as much as we did, and we got 2 hours, and we hit 34 out of 98 pages, and we were cheating. We were cheating because we weren't really reading everything because we couldn't. So even though we didn't read everything, even though we kind of skipped around a little bit, even though we kind of half-assed it a little bit, we still only made it 38 pages, and there's no end in sight. So will try to cover more. But apparently, what I hear is that the good news is that a lot of this might be televised, which would be interesting. So unlike the New York case and the federal cases, this might actually be televised. So we might get to see some of this on the telly and cover that, I suppose, which will be different. There's 161 acts. We only made it to 56. There's 161 acts. I'm making chicken soup tomorrow. I'm making chicken soup. I'm getting the things. I'm getting chicken soup. I'm making chicken soup because I need chicken soup to help me. I'm making chicken soup tomorrow. And I'm going to eat the absolute shit out of the chicken soup. I'm buying 5 pounds of chicken thigh. And I'm going to get myself 3 carrots, a thing of celery, 2 potatoes, some egg. Here's my recipe. See if you guys like this recipe. Let's see if you guys have if you like this recipe for cooking for Kurt. Okay, here's what we got. This is all going to go in an Instapot is the idea. All right. 1 bag, 16 ounces of egg noodle. I didn't need like a lot of noodle. I just thought, some would be nice. So maybe we'll get 2 bags, but we'll probably only put 1 in there. So 1 bag of egg noodles, 1 thing of celery. So that will be like, the entire bunch of celery. We'll cut that up. Then 3 carrots, 2 white potatoes. They apparently don't have sweet onion for some reason, so I have to get it in a bag, a 3-pound bag, which seems like a lot. I don't need that much onion, but they don't have them individually for some reason. And then 5 pounds of boneless chicken. How are we liking that? You need more potato per chicken? Nah, I don't know about that. I could throw in a sweet potato. That could be fun. I don't know if I really would like that, though, actually. Yeah, celery. We're going to get a bunch of celery. So we'll get 1 bunch of celery. Cut that up. HEB has individual onions. Apparently they don't, because for some reason, not so much. Carrots, yes. We're going to do 3 things of carrot. No turnips. So I think that'll work. Beets, nah, no. 5 pounds seems a bit much. Yeah, maybe. We'll do 4 pounds. Garlic. I have garlic in the fridge. So I'll just add in the thing garlic. I have the, pre-chopped wet garlic in a glass thing. Throw in a teaspoon of that or something will be good. I've got Better Than Bouillon herbal blend for seasoning. Yeah, Better Than Bouillon. So I have the herbal blend, and then I also got the chicken blend, and that should be fine. Yeah, I'm gonna make some chicken soup as part of my quest of losing weight. I think that'll be good. All right. I'm gonna sign off for now. Actually, pepper, well, salt and pepper. I mean, of course, for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off for now, and then I'm gonna make that tomorrow, and that'll be good and help me lose weight. Chicken is good. Chicken soup is good for losing weight. So we'll go from there. All right. I've been on civil law. I may or may not be on tomorrow morning. We'll see how it goes. Until later, I've been on civil law, and I'll see you later. Bye.